Meeting of the Special Finance Committee to order. The date is October 19th. The time is 2:06. With us today, we have Alderman Tolliver, Alderwoman Bade, Alderman Warman, Alderman Bugg, and myself, Alderman Franco. Madam Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak?
No, no, sir, we have no registered speakers.
Okay, thank you. So we'll just go on to the agenda item. First item, only item, is 23-0824, review proposed 2024 city budget developmental services.
Thanks, Chairman, and all of the aldermen for the opportunity to present our budget and your support for all of development services, the great team we've had developed here over many years. Just a snapshot of where we're at in time. We are again having a really strong year in revenue from a very large expansion in the number of permits and the size of the permits and investment in Aurora, development investment. Again, this year, year to date, we've, at this presentation, we've already eclipsed the 2023 departmental expenses. Not only with permits, but everyone's contribution to revenue from the whole department. There's several hundred new residential units that have been added already in 23. Pulte, MI, Lennar, 1449, and Redwood. We have residential units that are 1449 and Redwood are really starting. We don't have any units up there now, so. Those all have entitlements and are moving forward. We expect a lot of growth in those areas here in the next year. And again, we have some very large commercial permits in-house yet issued, which will help our budgetary picture starting in 2024. Again, size of investment and quantity of permits look very promising starting the year. This is a org chart. I apologize. It's a little small. I will go through the pieces of this division by division. We do have some openings right now, and I think I have to highlight that here now. So we're currently trying to fill a building and permits director after Herman's retirement. Josh is backfilling of Herman. That's left a void, which we're working on. And we've got an open planner in the zoning and planning division that we're working on as well, and a position in MOED to fill as well. We're actively working on those positions. So I wanted to go through kind of division by division. In our department, Development Services Admin has a decent number of staff in it. It's 1802 is the division number in the budget. So I'll focus on what that staff does. Essentially it's the front counter of Development Services Center on the first floor. It's essentially everyone taking in applications, licenses. We pride ourselves in the fact that we are so well certified across the board in our department. In this particular area, the permit tech certifications, we have 13 in Development Services. That's 15% of the Illinois permit tech certifications that have been earned by Aurora staff. It's an area where we can learn to serve the public better and understand some legal information, development information, and how best to serve our public. We have far more than any other Illinois municipality. We additionally have been sought out again for national best practices in a couple of areas. Our existing building code use and application. We've made presentations to Association for Preservation Technology, American Main Street, and we've been sought out by Preservation Partners of Fox Valley to do a presentation. Haven't fitted in yet. Same thing by Naperville Preservation. And we've also been sought out by our software vendor to do software demonstrations on how we've been able to leverage their tool to its highest efficiency. In 1802, Development Services Admin, we didn't ask for any decision packages. I did want to highlight one thing though, only as it's an opportunity should you be interested. A 2023 decision package that was approved was for training of this existing building code. It's a 2-day training. I don't suspect anyone would want to spend the 2 days with primarily a bunch of architects and our building department staff for those 2 days. But if you're at all interested to see what we're doing, say hello. We really appreciate the support for paying for this training. And what the training is doing is allowing us to train people to use the tools that we're more familiar with than anyone else to make remodeling permit code requirements and remodeling projects more reasonable. And these are the tools that the code has. We've adopted them. I would argue we have the highest state expertise, and we've made a bunch of national presentations about this. So I'd be happy if anyone would be interested in joining. Happy to share more information with you. It's on November 1st and 2nd. Then we'll move into building and permits. Building and permits still has the highest ISO score in the state. We are going to be undertaking another ISO evaluation. ISO is the, I'm sorry, I'm bad with acronyms. ISO is Insurance Service Organization. It's a national underwriting reporting tool that the insurance industry uses to determine what underwriting factors would apply to different communities. The one that most people are familiar with is when you buy a home, you're frequently asked how far away is your fire hydrant. This has nothing to do with that. That's a separate score, which actually Aurora is fantastic on that score as well. But we have the highest in the state for the building department, and it helps keep new construction insurance rates lower because we've kept that score so high. And one of the reasons that we have those high scores is our level of certifications. And one of the reasons why we'll be bringing a code adoption forward here shortly is we want to do that before that evaluation occurs. Recent code adoption does play into the scoring mechanism for their system. So for building and permits, the decision packages that we've asked for are, again, recognizing that there's a large amount of increase in work with very large projects actually coming our way. A mechanical HVAC inspector in a vehicle, a combination inspector in a vehicle. I guess I want to explain a combination inspector. So we recently, last 3 years, I think, worked out an agreement with 3298 to allow a different inspector type that's a slightly higher pay, which could cover different trades. Historically, we've always had 5 trades, including one being fire that's in the building department. And we've wanted to see some more flexibility on sending fewer people to do the same thing. So we've hired some qualified combination inspectors, and we're hoping to do the same thing again. There's also a request to promote a plan examiner to a senior plan examiner that's been here for many years already. And then digital code subscription. This is something that will help us with field interpretations. And we are trying to offset that request with some FEMA grant, which we don't have the answer to yet. It might get offset with that FEMA grant. For property standards, again, we have the highest level of municipal employee ICC certification in the state of Illinois for the certifications that property standards would obtain. And we have the only master code enforcement professional in the state of Illinois, Ruthie Harris. That's still the case as it was last year. For property standards, the decision packages we've requested are digital printing and scanning system replacement. And then I wanted to highlight, although not a decision package, you're approving a very large grant for blight reduction that we've obtained that historically has been bolstered by city funds, and that will not be required because of this large grant. And I wanted to remind everyone that this is the second year of resumption of the interior licensing inspections. Next year will be the third year, and then we'll kind of get back to a more normal pace that we had before the pandemic. For the Mayor's Office of Economic Development, another nice recognition, Trevor Dick was named the Kane County Planner of the Year. Our downtown development and methodologies, tools that we've been using, we've been sought out by Illinois Main Street for a large municipality membership for Illinois Main Street. They, until recently, have focused on smaller communities. They're interested in focusing on larger communities and are interested in some of the tools that we're using that might benefit even smaller communities as well. And again, we've made presentations to AIA Illinois for best practices for historic tax credits and for existing building code use. And as you'll recall, we're involved in the International Urban and Regional Cooperation Program with the Italian delegation. We will be the only American city involved in a forthcoming meeting here at the European Parliament.
Chairman.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
John, can you go over this again, like give some more details about this? What's
For
happening
the cooperation
at the European
program?
Parliament?
Yeah, I think,
October
is Alex
24th?
here? Yeah. I think Alex could speak to it better than I, so I apologize.
And before Alex speaks, are we taking any city council members who happen to have Italian heritage with you to that?
Unfortunately not. Good afternoon. Alex Pinella, Senior Planner, Mayor's Office of Economic Development. As you recall, about 3 years ago, we submitted our application to the European Union for the through the IURC, International Regional Urban and Cooperation Program. We have been successfully selected to be part of it. We were paired despite any origins of staff against we applied for Greece, Spain, Germany, and you name it, any other countries, but we were paired with 2 cities in Italy. We were the first and only American city paired with 2 other cities, and we continued the cooperation through to today's date successfully. We hosted the 2 cities representatives back in May last year. Staff from Aurora went to Italy. Everything was sponsored by the European Union, and this year there's going to be an event where the city of Aurora will be featured as the only American city before 18 other countries, China, one of them, Brazil, and Denmark, Germany, France itself, Belgium, you name it. So it's, I think it is important to say that this is a way to make the city of Aurora internationally, not only nationally and statewide. So we are, as you recall, a few nights ago, Tuesday nights, we are in the in the doing of making Aurora the second largest city in Illinois and get it to be known internationally. So should you have any further question, I'll be more than happy to follow up with you individually as you wish.
Thank you, that's all.
Thank you.
We wanted to highlight some of the 23 accomplishments from economic development. There's several TIF districts, Finish Line and Restart Grant Program, River Edge Redevelopment Zone Program, hosted a downtown broker tour, obtained an OSLAD grant for Garfield Park, supported renovations at Fox Valley Mall, Lumen Apartments, and the other apartments under construction, including the senior housing. Approved RDAs for the new Hobbs restaurants, the La Quinta renovation that's being undertaken now, Amore Mio, which is closer to opening, 110 Cross for an Exchange Brewery, which is being worked on now as well, plus some residential units above the brewery at 110 Cross. I think Alex covered the IURC. We entered into agreement with Kane County for additional access on Orchard Road, making the Toyota site that fronts on Orchard in between Sequoia and Orchard for a three-quarter access, which the county had not planned originally, which makes that site more developable, and purchased some key downtown properties for strategic purposes. Short-term goals on economic development. Construction starting on both banks of the river here just north of town. New casino construction starting. RFQs being released on multiple city-owned properties. There's a few out right now. There will be several more released here balance of this year and into the first quarter next year. Downtown parking study that we've undertaken. I talked about the Orchard Valley mixed-use property. That's the Orchard Road property with the three-quarters interchange. Some additional TIF information there. We're continuing to work hard on filling some vacant storefronts in downtown and working with other departments on affordable housing strategy and working to support environmental and sustainability initiatives. The decision packages next year that we were requesting for economic development are casino site analysis, a casino site redevelopment competition, smart energy grants, wayfinding and streetscape signage, and Main Street membership and programming. Then zoning and planning. Some of these might repeat a little bit, but the zoning and planning hosted the APA preservation tours for the redevelopment, APA tours for the redevelopment of the Fox Valley Mall, and also Bloomhaven. We're working with DAC and Windfall on their developments. Worked through the entitlements for the three Fox Valley Mall developments that are currently underway, entitlements for the casino, as you've seen recently, and then entitlements for several other either subdivisions or larger notable projects throughout town. And then we wanted to highlight some preservation items, which preservation is housed within our planning and zoning group. We've had some notable recognitions that we wanted to flag here. Most notably is the Richard A. Driehaus Award for Adaptive Reuse from Landmarks, Illinois for Bloomhaven Innovative Living. It's like the largest, it's the most prestigious award given in Illinois by preservation agency. We've also received CMAP Distinguished Award for Bloomhaven preservation, and we've provided preservation and tours of the historic Copley Hospital or Bloomhaven again. There were historic tax credit projects that were for support and creation for Lincoln Todd, Broadway, Hobbs, Terminal, Keystone, Copley, and 110 Cross. Again, this is what I'm highlighting here is the historic tax credit portion of that work, not the TIF portion of that work. That involves our staff quite a bit and some private sector work to navigate the regulations and red tape that are involved in historic tax credits, but very beneficial, as we've seen in the last 6 years here. There's some more downtown redevelopment projects, residential preservation grants. We had $200,000 last year. You'll see in the next slide we're going to ask for slightly more. Fox Walk design guidelines updates, we're headlong into working through those and bringing them to council here by year's end. We've created some more landmarks and some national registered districts in town as well recently. So the decision package is requested for zoning and planning, a historic preservation grant expansion. In the last slide I mentioned there's a $200,000 grant program that we have had for 2 years now. We've requested another $50,000 as the program has proven to be very popular, and we've been able to distribute more money and help people work on what proves to be some slightly more difficult projects in historic districts. Also a scanner, and then there's a small amount of a grant assistance request for the West Aurora Cemetery Preservation, whom basically doesn't have an entity to help them at all other than the city of Aurora. So that's really kind of an overview of everything. At this point, if you want to go through line items or our narratives, I can call up some of our division heads to help as well.
Well, I know I have some questions on some things, so I would ask the committee if we want to go through the decision packages first, because I know I have some questions on that, and then we can answer those, and if you guys are prepared to do that. Okay. Well, why don't we start with the first decision package? I think that's 489 might be it. Page 489.
Yep, got it. So this is a plan examiner that's been with us for, I think, nearly 6 years. And we have a two-tier plan examiner position in building and permits, and this is recognizing and trying to keep qualified personnel. It's proven to be very difficult to replace people, as we're finding with the building and permits director.
Questions or comments about this one? Okay, we can move on.
You want me to just work my way through?
Yeah, if you would,
Okay.
I mean, just briefly, I'll have
Sure.
some questions coming up, but if you just
Sure.
go over them briefly, and we'll just.
Next one on 490 is Code Compliance Officer / HVAC Inspector. Some of these requests are kind of getting, well, they're moving towards where we were, 15 years ago. Our volume has gotten to the point, and some of our projects are so large that they're overwhelming staff, essentially. So some of these multi-floor residential projects, we currently have one mechanical inspector. If you go back 10 years, we would have had two, and all the way back to 25 years. So for the first 15 years of my existence here, we had two mechanical inspectors. At the time, we had a lot more residential development, which is occurring for us now, single-family residential development. But we're also seeing a increase in, I would say, high-intensity inspection projects like our multi-story apartment buildings. So we need the manpower so that we're not telling people that, we can't get there when they need us there. We need to keep the projects moving at their own timeline and try and get out of their way. So that's 490. 491 is a vehicle for that same inspector. 492, actually, that's a vehicle for the. These are a little out of. That's
There's
that's
an
a
inspector, couple
yeah.
pages later, right?
That's a inspector for 494 when we get there. ICC digital premium code subscription. This will give code text available to our staff in the field and give us the ability to copy and paste things out of the code books, which we currently don't have. We've replicated a lot of it, but we're going to be adopting a new code, and we're basically faced with another project to replicate all of the code information into our system or use a digital system like they have, and this will also give us the benefit of the ability to use this in the field as well, which will help our field staff. The next one on 494 is that combination inspector. Again, this is the inspector that's paid slightly more than our trade inspectors. I believe we'll end up focusing likely on an electrical inspector background with some mechanical potentially. What we've found with the combination inspectors is the easiest, well, what we found in general is the easiest inspection role to backfill or to fill has generally been framing inspectors, so what we call building inspectors. If we use these combination inspectors, in particular, the one that's one of the harder to fill is the electrical. They generally can backfill in a role for framing. just to give you an example, right now, the other thing that's happening is we're developing way out on the edges of the donut, right? So it's not effective for us to send 4 inspectors to a residential project down at Del Webb. The way that, this was an important reason why we negotiated with the bargaining unit to allow this to happen. We're currently sending a combination inspector there with one caveat. The state plumbing code does not allow me to send somebody who's not licensed by the state. So the plumbing inspections are being done by a plumbing inspector. All the other inspections are being done by one person who's qualified to do those inspections now, and we're saving a lot of travel time, which, again, is a pretty remote part of town. So it's helping us be more effective. So that's 494. 495 is a replacement of the digital printing and scanning for our property standards division. This is the equipment in property standards is the equipment that prints 10,000 renewal notices every summer, plus how many code enforcement cases do you think you guys have? 10,000. So it gets a lot of use, and it needs a replacement. The next one is Main Street membership and program. This program has some training and credentialing that I believe would be beneficial for some of our staff and potentially some of our other entities interested in downtown. And if we become part of the program, there's training opportunities for those other non-for-profits that pay attention to our downtown and our staff to try and improve the services, the marketing, stuff that's specifically geared towards Main Street development. The Smart Energy Grant, this, I may need some help on this one. This is allowing us to issue grants for some smart energy initiatives. And I think we're going to lean on some non-for-profit partners that we have partnered with, it's going back many years ago, for energy improvements and green initiatives, essentially. Did I cover that well enough?
So, again, Alex Minella, Economic Development. As I anticipated this past Tuesday, all hands on deck on sustainability. This has been the key of success for the past years, and we will continue to do so. This item specifically accounts for setting aside money to help administering and covering staff time to administer any possible grants that will be dispersed in the future to come. As you also may recall, we pledged the climate action implementation plan, which qualify us for grants, and as we apply for grants, those money will come available, but we need to set aside money for staff, additional staff maybe, if and when needed, and the grants will be administered by Economic Development as well as Neighborhood Redevelopment Division.
So this is what I had a question about. So when I read a grant, I was thinking we were getting a grant. But what we're doing is we're administrating a grant program where we're giving the money out to various entities, hoping that we get other money grants from the state and federal to fund that in addition to that? Is that how we're working?
It's yet to be determined, depending on the nature of, we are going to go after several grants, federal, state grants, and depending on the source, we will be administering the funds to be then dispersed to private entities versus, meaning residents or not-for-profit organizations, which on their end will deliver funds as needed on sustainability topics like social equity versus infrastructural improvements and so forth. Yeah.
So, yeah, I just want to, so this is like, we're putting in seed money, the fundamental money needed to get this program started and going, and that's our contribution to it. And obviously, any money we get in will disperse out, but this is needed to get the whole thing running.
Correct. We want to have a cushion, at least set aside to ensure and guarantee that these programs can function. Without that, we might gasp and look for other sources. So we don't want to do that. We want to hit the ground right away if and when those funds are available.
Thank you. Any questions on this one? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so 498, wayfinding and streetscape signage. This is focused on, we had a good experience with our downtown wayfinding improvements, and we want to expand it essentially. That's what that package is about.
So, when we did this before, we were working with another company that was going to rebate us money based on advertising. Does that sound right?
That's still being discussed with a vendor, and it's still there's still a possibility that some of this might include that component.
Okay, but as of right now, it's not?
As of right now, we haven't signed anything that would, yes, that's correct.
Chairman.
Alderman Abate?
Thank you, Chairman. John, we have 50,000 allocated for 2024 and 100,000 for 2025 and 2026 each. So why 50 and then going to 100K?
I assume we're trying to ramp the program up, and the first portion of it would likely be design work.
Okay.
The first spend would be the design work, and then implementation would likely cost more with materials and contractors and that.
Okay. Makes sense. Thank you.
Alderman Donnell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think also we've discussed in the past about maybe renaming or doing a better job identifying our parking lots throughout downtown. And I know now with the Broadway project, there is some concern from some of the owners out there. So hopefully we can do something in the interim to demonstrate to people where parking could be had, in lieu of, Broadway.
Yeah, I believe the parking study that the city's undertaken does address some of those items and makes recommendations on how to improve what we've got. The downtown casino site analysis. So this is funding to analyze what the use of the casino site could be. I guess at the risk of repeating myself, I want to remind everyone that the land underneath the casino is nowhere near the size of the barge that you see there. So the casino that you see there now is a horseshoe barge. It's a floating structure, and the land, the developable land, without Army Corps permissions and a bunch of other things that would be required to expand it, is just the rotunda in the middle. So if you visit there, when you're walking from the grand staircase to the gaming floor, there's a ramp. The function of that ramp is to allow the barge to move up and down. That's the line at which we don't have land underneath the casino to develop. So I just want to remind everyone that it's not quite what it looks like, and that's a really important facet of our analysis. So that's 499. 500 is a design competition. So we would like to work on a international scale design competition for redeveloping that site. Staff feels this is essentially once in a lifetime opportunity to rethink the point of our fabulous island and what that use could be. And we're interested in seeing what design professionals who work in this realm could come up with and garner some ideas from that competition. And then the West Aurora Cemetery preservation. It's not a lot of money, but as I mentioned earlier, the West Aurora Cemetery itself doesn't really have a functioning maintenance, non-for-profit. And they have asked for this at least multiple times. I don't know how recently, but there are some things that are historic and historically important items for Aurora, and it's a relatively small ask for improvements there at the cemetery.
John, a question real
Yes.
quick. I know 8,000 is not that much. Would this, since it's historic, would we be able to get any grants for that for the future?
I don't know if Jill's, have we,
Would you also orient on where this is at for the,
Oh,
for the
good point.
public, please?
Yes. So that's okay. This is up on the west side, Lake and-
South of Illinois.
so thank you,
Southwest corner.
kind of right out like near Tanner, if you're familiar with the historic districts. Cemeteries are kind of difficult to get grants with, kind of like churches. Often they're hard to find people, grants out there that are willing to fund those type of properties.
Okay. Well, and the reason I asked this, because we use the word historic, and we have so many historic entities, and we get grants for that. I didn't know if that could be packaged in, or if that was, I'm not sure how that worked.
Yeah, well, as far as the city, they've applied for the city grant, preservation grant, but that's only for owner-occupied residential. So currently, we didn't have any funds outside of doing like something like a decision package for them.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'm just curious about that.
Okay, that's 501, 502, an expansion of the Historic Preservation Grant Program. Again, Jill's had a lot of success and helped a lot of families work through some more, I would suggest, more challenging historic preservation projects. And we would like to expand the program and work with more homeowners and see if we can achieve some more projects.
Okay, let's go with Alderwoman Bay, then I'll come to you, Mr. Alexander.
John, for the residents who have applied in past, can they apply again?
Yes, we have application rounds every year. There is not a prohibition on reapplying. I think it's considered when, if someone's applied and, let's say they've applied and been awarded prior and weren't able to pull the project off, I think it's considered as part of the decision on whom the grants are going to be awarded to when they go back to the Preservation Commission. But as an example, in the past 4 years, there actually have been a lot of reasons why people, window projects as an example, it's been challenging to get windows. Anything that's got multiple components being assembled by somebody with supply chain issues, go back a couple of years, it was tough.
Mr. Alexander, go ahead.
If I can just add, this is a very important component of this year's decision packages. We would like to make this an even higher amount sooner if we could, but this was the most reasonable approach to ultimately double the funding by 2028. But staff and finance and the administration will be looking throughout the year in '24 to see if the demand is there, and if our finances, our budget is going in a positive direction, we may be back to ask for additional funds through a budget amendment during this year and in future years. But it's important in the historic neighborhoods. We know that, for example, the neighborhood around Bloomhaven, there are a lot of historic houses that have improved already, but we know there are more folks that may need some assistance, so we're hoping to continue to market and grow this fund because it's important. We don't have a community that's entirely brand-new subdivisions. It's a diverse mix, as you're all aware, and so we want to pay particular attention to the historic neighborhoods that we have and try and continue to grow this fund.
Thank you.
And that is the last decision package request.
Do we have, Then we have a 503, a scanner again, or is
Oh,
that?
I'm sorry. Yep, I apologize. I skipped past that. The zoning and planning department need a scanner. They handle a lot of very large documents, do markups, and need to reply back electronically to developers. So that's a tool that they need in order to accommodate that need.
Okay. Now we'll open it up to anybody who has any questions about the various pages. Alderman Boyd, do you want to go first?
No, I just have a question about that. It says the current scanner is 15 years old, and that's our largest one. I thought we bought one about 8, 9 years ago? Or was that a different department?
It was a different department.
Okay. We bought the great big one. Okay,
It's probably GIS, probably.
okay.
We can check.
Yeah, okay. That's fine. Thank you.
If we could, I have a couple questions on various pages. If we could go to 504.
Okay.
At the bottom of that page, it says consulting fees, down $47,500. Is there a reason, I mean, that's good, but do we know why that was down that much? I guess we had the spike in 2023, so we're going back to normals. Is that what we're looking at there?
I believe this one was something we shifted into some of the divisions more directly, rather than in the umbrella department. So I think you'll see increases in some of the divisions.
Because I know in 2023, we budgeted 52,000, and then this year we're budgeting 4,500. So I saw the big difference there, so I was kind of curious about that.
And there are some, there are some projects that we have not yet been able to embark on, that we did ask for a rollover for some of those things, so, with capacity challenges, it doesn't make sense to take on more stuff either, so I think that's probably part of it as well.
Are we going to go various divisions then too after this? Because I got some questions for later on. I didn't know if everybody's property standards is going to speak, or,
I'd be happy, I don't mean to hog the microphone, so we can have the division heads come up and talk about their
I
line
mean,
items.
I got some questions along the way, and
Okay.
we could just follow it incrementally like that. That would be fine.
Okay.
So going to property standards, I guess my question on that one is illegal sign removal.
Page 519.
521, sorry, 521. And I see that we had 100 illegal signs. Is that what we're proposing? Oh, we're budgeting for 75 sign removals? Does that sound right, Ruthie?
Yeah, that's what we had figured we could accomplish, yes.
Okay, so my question is on that. Does that seem low? Because I have 30 signs in my backyard that I picked up over the last year, at a minimum. So I'm just wondering, if you times that by 10 wards, is that 75 a reality, or, I'm just kind of wondering about that, because it seems like there's much more than that out there.
Ruthie Harris with Property Standards. It is a little bit low, and the reason for that is we currently just have one zoning inspector tasked with the entire city. So once we hopefully shift gears and have all 15 employees that we currently have in the division tasked with that, you will be able to see that number increase.
And then while we're on this department, I saw that, and it was page 524. Demolition is up $347,000. I'm just guessing that's because we have the grant? I mean, because we got more money, so that's why we increased it, because of the grant?
That is
It
correct.
gives us an opportunity to spend more.
Yes.
And that's in the note.
Right, okay. And then on page 525, car washes, cleaning services, we went from $482,000 in 2023 to $807,000 in 2024.
That's
Mr.
actually-
Chairman, that's the sum total of that whole section of cleaning services.
For everything.
That's everything.
But
If
all
you-
right, so it went up quite a bit though, anyway, right? It went from 482 to 807.
But that's
Well,
the same group
Okay.
that's the same grouping that includes the grant we just talked about.
The
Yeah,
demolitions,
okay,
yes.
good. I'm just trying to figure out. when I see
Sometimes
these-
the way the pages
Yeah.
break off, it gets a
Right.
little,
Whenever I see a spike, I'm just kind of wondering why, that spike is there. Okay. Anybody have any other questions about property standards? Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going on to Economic Development Division. I guess I have a question on that. It's not a particular thing. Do we need more staffing in economic development? Because the way I see things over the past few years, we get a lot done, but we can't get to everything, and I don't think that's because we're not working hard. I just don't know that we have enough manpower, because the city is so big, with 46 square miles. So I'm just wondering, I guess it's an opinion, but could we use more people to help with that economic development? Do we need more staffing to make sure that we get to where we need to go?
Do you want to? Okay. All right. Thanks, John. Thank you, Chairman. Trevor Dick, Assistant Director, Mayor's Office of Economic Development. Thank you so much for the question. I'm very, very happy to say that we only have one open position at this point, a project manager position. This is the closest we've been to full staff in my 6 years since I've been in the department. We continue to have interviews for that position. It's been very difficult to find somebody who we feel comfortable about it, because there's so many different development projects going on, from small mom and pop all the way up to the casino, for example. So we need somebody that can really hit the ground running. We continue to work for that. One thing we've also tried to do, in addition to getting our full-time staff, is working with consultants. So you saw this year we did a lot of consultant-led projects, because to your point, Chairman Franco, you're right, there just isn't the person power to get everything going. And even if you hire a consultant, you still need staff to help manage that and make sure you get the product for the taxpayer. So we continue to be creative, look both permanent staff and temporary. I think we'll be okay. I don't think we need to add any more permanent staff, but I'll of course turn it over to John Curley or anybody else on the staff to answer that.
Well, and I guess my question would be too, so we're looking for a project manager. I'm guessing once we get somebody pretty good in there, we can evaluate, is that enough? It's kind of like a fluid thing. You say, okay, we got them, they're doing their job, but we still need more, and then we can come back and say, okay, it's good, but we need more. That's how it's going to roll out?
that's exactly how it's been rolling out.
Okay.
And we have constantly been reviewing prospects and caseload and prioritizing. We also have recognized the need for bench strength. And so, recognizing some of the challenges of hiring some of these positions, we have retained not only, certain consultants, but we brought in some specific folks to look at and support the corridor studies that we have budgeted for, certain critical sites that are vacant, that are either city-owned, or we've been approached by a private company to work with us to look at what's the highest and best use, what would the city like to see there. So I feel like right now, with the addition, hopefully soon, of this project manager, like you say, we'll be at full strength. So then we'll be able to look at going forward. And once again, we have, I think, responsibly used the budget amendment process during the year after budgets are approved, and especially if it's personnel that we can tie to a return on investment, getting projects done, especially in this division, all the better. So that's where we're at. Right now, I think we're in good stead. There's nothing that's falling through the cracks. And there's a tremendous team effort going on between John, David Debo, Trevor, all the staff, the mayor's office, finance. It's, unfortunately for some people, things don't move fast enough, but these deals take time, especially in the environment we're in. So it's slow and steady sometimes wins the race, not the rabbit.
Thank you. Thank you, Trevor.
Thank you.
Any other questions about economic development? Any questions from the Committee on Zoning and Planning? All right. Well, we're all good. Any more questions, any comments? Well, I just want to say, the city does a great job in various departments, but you guys, this is top notch. You get what you guys do. That's why I asked if you need more staffing, because you do so good and you work so hard. I just want to make sure that you feel comfortable getting the job done. But thank you, John. Again, great presentation. Everybody support team is, it's really top-notch division. And basically, those accolades you said and the certifications we have, obviously, everybody knows that too, so.
Well, thank you very, very much for your kind words and all of council for your support over many years. We've built a really, really strong team here, and I'm really confident going forward that we've got the next leaders of our department in our team now. Very confident that you'll be very proud of this team going forward.
Thank you. Thank you, appreciate it. Oh, Alderman Bug, go ahead.
Sure. Like Alderman Franco, your preparation for this meeting today was top-notch. It was excellent. Every time I had a question, I just kept reading and it got answered.
It has been so
You added so much information to the decision packages that you went outside of the box, and there, at the bottom, you couldn't read it because you put so much information in. But yeah, you hit a home run. So
Well, that's a testament to all the division heads. Everyone's very much involved in all of the budgetary requests from their own divisions. Again, we've got a fantastic team. Thank you for your support.
Well, and one more thing, John, that you mentioned, which I think it goes unnoticed sometimes, but I'm glad you brought it up. Preparing the next generation to follow in your footsteps, the leaders of the department, that is so important. To the training and giving them the opportunities to do that kind of stuff. So we know we're not all going to be around someday, but somebody's going to have to fill in behind us. So thank you for preparing them, because that really is important. And obviously, I would think our goal is to keep it internal as well we can, so we prepare the good ones here
Yep.
and keep it going. It's just better. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks. Anything else coming before the Finance Committee?
Motion adjourned.
We have motion to adjourn by Alderman Bug, second by Alderman Bate. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0, and we are adjourned at 2:57.
Thank you.